GMs to the Badge Brigade. Let's get after it. Man, it's hard to believe like we're already pushing in best ball playoffs and stuff like that already. It just feels like we started grinding these BRs, a week ago. Honestly, God, like the amount we've learned, the amount we've gone in. But tough day yesterday. I mean, no Evan Ingram, no Cash, right? And chances are you paired that Evan Ingram with Derrick Henry, and that probably wasn't optimal either, right? I mean, tough day, but what makes these shows doing worthwhile, what gets me amped up mornings like this when I get rugged yesterday, is the good people in the Discord, the good people on Twitter shouting us out and being like, yo, we got it done. We're in the winner's circle. So shout out to Rydock, did some damage in the NBA last night. Shout out to Ben. I want to say Wunrow, like that. Hit us up on Twitter there yesterday. Hadn't seen him in the comments of the Discord before, but hit us up with a third place yesterday. So it's super sick to just be like, hey, we're actually having an impact out here. Because I mean, we're just coming on here, we're talking games that we love, we're having some fun, we're providing some what we think is actionable insight. But we're by no means touts, we're by no means professionals at this. So it's so great to see players having some good success after just hanging out, right? And sharing the knowledge in the Discord. So that's good. Yeah, Paul's in the chat here. Paul had a good one. Some bankroll building was done on the weekend for many, and we love to see that. So Newbie, what's good, man? What's good?
Muted. I had my coffee. My bad. I was yeah. No. I had a very mediocre day until my play that I told you and Nez. You asked where are my stands? Where are my stands? I'm like, you don't see $155 sunk into Jerry Jeudy in the BR.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, good run back, could have a little exposure to. I'm like, no. He's gonna be my fourth highest exposed wide receiver.
Love it.
And all of a sudden I look and I see I happen to see that Jerry Jeudy third touchdown. And I go, gee, I do have a lot of him. Let me check that BR. And I check and I'm like, oh, that's a lineup that's cooking. And it didn't update. And then it update. And I'm like, we just need Travis Kelce to Patrick Mahomes. And your boy is basically in second place. There's no one that can do it. Like I'm sitting on the teeter on the edge. And then that game just goes, Russell Wilson. I don't know if you guys saw that hit. Did not know where he was for a good 5 seconds on the ground. Literally,
did you see the bruise on his head after?
No,
the size of a golf ball, just sticking out the side of his head.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, all the force on that hit landed on his head. Basically, his head skidded. All of it, his head took all of it. So yeah, I can imagine. I mean, again, no one cares about my teams, but I feel good about my process. I told Nez I'm going to take stands and basically flip my exposures. I had the same amount of exposure to DJ Moore. Didn't work. Was perfectly fine in play. Or perfectly fine in the process. If you would have told me all that scoring basically would have went to Shi Smith and and everyone else out there with Sam Darnold, I guess. So be it. But that game was kind of clunker. It started out hot, but yeah, I feel good with my process. I had a lot of Derrick Henry, a lot of Christian McCaffrey, started working in Pollard. So yeah, as much as I kind of won my money back, but I feel good. I feel good about the process. And now it makes me just I'm just aping into hoops as a reward for making 200.
That is, it's much better. You fared much better than I did yesterday. Things didn't go so well for old John.
Tis the way of the road. Tis the way of the road.
Exactly.
That's how it be. And
these games are hard.
And again, to put in perspective, you know it most, but it's just just talking. This is how you play. Like this is how literally you're going to play, and having a week in between it is going to psychologically make it feel. I told Nez this. And he goes, wow, it's really good. Maybe it wasn't as good. Maybe he was just kind of like, just shut up and stop preaching to me when I was we were talking. But he was like, yeah, dude, after my big win, I've just been going down. I'm like, well, if you think about it, we've had now we're about to have triple the amount of NBA slates than we've already had NFL. And the NBA literally just started. Like, that's the psychological thing people have to get out of. It's been 15 weeks. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all we've
that's
had.
it.
That's
Yeah.
15 slates. It may seem like a whole season, and it definitely like in the terms of it, but like, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So when you put it, just to bring it back, like you're playing very exploitative. You're taking your stands.
Mhm.
You play in a way that if it maybe not full tee boxes, we'll say, where if you hit, you hit, but like you're very exploitative and you take your stand and you're fine with that process. So
Mhm.
when I hear you say, you didn't fare as good as me, is like, that it it's good because that's your process. You didn't come out
Mhm.
here and just min cash and barely sneak by because maybe that's not that great. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I didn't cash a single bomb this week. Played
yeah, and
max enter the bomb, didn't catch a single one.
I'm
But
assuming
like
you had a good
I
amount of
like
Travis Etienne. Like I
I actually
aped
did.
in with Travis.
I actually
Man,
didn't.
he was
I
my
had a
fourth highest exposed RB in all of
yeah.
it.
For me, it was T Higgins. I took a
Mhm.
lot of T Higgins.
Oh, don't get
I
started. The
was
crowd's gonna come out of the woodworks for the T Higgins.
yeah, I was 30 something percent on T Higgins, and yeah. Anyways, yeah, we can go through a little bit of my stuff. I actually want to save a little bit of my stuff for when we talk about the two gamer because I got some thoughts there just in general. But I really like the point you bring up. It's something we've talked about on the show, but it's bearing repeating on a morning like today where I think it went poorly for a lot of people yesterday, which is odd because it was a GPP bro style of week. But we have 15 slates, you know, we have 15 slates. If I told you that in 15 NBA slates, you would have won, multiples of them, you'd take it, right? Like if I told you you're going to play 15 days of NBA and you'd won three slates this year, you'd
Oh,
be
my
like, "Holy
ROI is
shit.
off the charts. Yeah.
Yeah, you're crushing. Your ROI is insane." Well, I
Mhm.
mean, that's me right now with NFL, right? Like
Exactly.
I think I've won the bomb twice and I've, multiple top threes in the BR. And it's kind of like, well, I can't be mad about one down week. It's 18
Yeah,
slate.
and
Like,
not to
it's
say
like
you were,
it's
and
not
I know
even
you weren't, and I know you're
no,
not
no,
saying
yeah.
you were, but yeah, no, it's just to me, it's like when I hear that process, it almost is good for you.
Hmm.
It's either you're winning or you're not, and that's
Hmm.
that's that's good to keep seeing that process because
Yeah.
it's like the thing, like if you're you the me, I'll use me as a casual coming back into DFS just 2 years ago. Look, I keep cashing. I keep cashing. I'm doing well.
Hmm.
I'm doing well. That's not doing well when you're playing GPPs.
Hmm.
And that's what we're playing here. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. And with the stands you were on, and just the lineups, I'm assuming you were building. I mean, it basically was you needed Evan Ingram. That top score was just crazy. That guy blew us out of the water. So
I think
congrats
it's
to
the
whoever that.
first time we've had that's the first time we've had a tight end break the slate who wasn't named Kelsey or Andrews.
Taysom Hill, right?
Yeah, that's a
Or
good one.
did he
Yeah.
not break? I thought he broke.
Was
Maybe
that a
not.
main slate? I think
I
that was a
thought
main
so.
slate.
I thought
Yeah,
he
yeah.
broke it, and then that's why he got pushed up
And
into
then he
the.
got steamed the following week. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great
But I
point. Yeah,
mean,
Taysom Hill would have been the other one. But Taysom
and
Hill's like an anomaly, right? Like he's not a
it's
normal tight
to
end.
me, it's crazy. I think in and it's not. I'm not trying to be revisionist. I should have had maybe a little more Ingram than zero because
Mhm.
I was personally deterred from Trevor Lawrence, the iffiness. Um, Even though
Yeah,
we knew how, again, I preached it. How do you beat the Titans last week? How do you beat
through
the
the
Titans
air.
this week? Through the
Through the
air.
air.
I kept hearing all of the Mark telling me Trevor Lawrence will never do this. Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence. So it's like, oh, well, then that means you definitely can't get any of the tight. And it's like I was so basically flipped the Kirk. I was like, I'm not going to go with Kirk. I'm going to go with ETN. But it's like,
Mhm.
why don't I just do a little bit of that with Ingram? And then my stands were obviously just going overweight on Hawkinson, Andrews, and Greg Dulcich, which will bury you until you have. It's crazy because the bottom two lineups, or my top two lineups actually were Kelsey lineups and Judy. Um, so and when you think about it, I was actually only like 6 points away from top 10, like
Mhm.
like actual 6 points. So like, and then from getting like top two, from getting literally second place, I was like 11. So in like, it's crazy how close I actually was. Um,
Mhm.
or like without actually having basically not
without
using
actually,
the Ingram.
yeah,
Because I don't know
yeah.
how many people had Ingram up there.
That's good.
If you go through there, it was crazy. It wasn't as like
According
Ingram,
to
Ingram,
our
Ingram.
yeah, according to our sample, we'll do that in a second. According to our
Yeah.
sample, he was only drafted 6%. I had 5 Ingram lineups out of 77, which I thought was pretty good. I got on Ingram. We wrote him up a little bit in our article. We wrote him back as a nice contrarian run back option there. Um, yeah, I mean, I just thought tight end was a wasteland after the first pick, basically this week. So I was just mixing and matching. And there's one little like point where correlation works in our favor. Is correlation doesn't have to work in our favor in terms of like game environment every single time, but I don't think anyone would have been on Mark or Evan Ingram as like a one-off. Nobody would have been like, "Hey, it's a one-off." It's because they were correlating off of Derrick Henry, who was a first round pick every single time, and ETR is 101.
Yeah.
So, just one thing about like our process associated with that is, we've been talking about like how correlation sometimes can be overdone or it can be a killer in some regards. Well, here's a really, really stark contrast of how it worked very heavily in our favor, right? Because if you got yourself a nice little Ingram, Trevor Lawrence in the 5th, 6th round, and you went ahead and you paired. Honestly, this Derrick Henry kind of was like a bad run out. I mean, he had 98 rushing yards in the first
Yep.
quarter, and then he had 2 in the
And
second half. So it was
yeah,
kind of
and
unfortunate that didn't play up to like
yep.
to this magnitude, but that's how you get on Evan Ingram. It doesn't have to be a crazy good play in isolation. It doesn't have to be. It's just like, hey, if I'm building, 50, 100, 150 of these lineups over and over again, well, it's something I should consider. So yeah, having 0 was probably not optimal, but I can't necessarily fault you for having 0. I was on it strictly as a run back, which I'm not sure that was any better than having 0, right? So yeah, very interesting spot. These are the results from this week. Just very interesting again to see these very contrarian stacks up here hitting. Judy was only 14% drafted. Jerick McKinnon wasn't drafted at all. I guess he was drafted one time and
Yeah,
he's
man.
stacked with Mahomes. So
Rip
that's a pretty
Pacheco.
cool way of getting unique there. CMC, very interesting. CMC was drafted every single draft. He was my highest exposed running back. I was prioritizing him quite a bit this week, but he was stacked 0 times. You know, just interesting. I mean, he's a pass catching running back who was getting drafted at 100% frequency, and Brock Purdy wouldn't have necessarily got you in the winner's circle, but just interesting from a process standpoint that okay, like how does CMC reach his ceiling? Well, it's probably in the receiving game. Well, nobody paired him with his quarterback, not once this week, right? And I mean, maybe it's thin, maybe it's revisionist, but it's just interesting to look at. Chad sent me the optimal by round, so let's look at the actual, and then I'll say the optimal. Um,
Yeah, he got Henry to fall to the 3rd, which is pretty nice.
yeah,
Pretty nice.
As you can see, old John Boy with a nice fat 0. Only got 70 of these BRs in this week. I did have a sweat in the same capacity that Numi did late in the afternoon with, but I was on the other side of it. I had a Henry, CMC,
Oh yeah,
Mahomes somehow
I
with
had
Juju and Judy.
there you
So
go.
the
Yeah.
Juju was my little contrarian piece.
I had
Different. Oh,
CMC as well, but everyone there was people just blocking. Yeah, that team,
mhm.
man. When it was hilarious. Like when that other Ingram touchdown hit, I'm like, okay, that guy's just vaulting up again. Hurts gets the rushing touchdown. I'm like, okay, that guy's vaulting up again. Miles Sanders breaks loose again. I'm like, this dude's vaulting up again. JJ just continues to go. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like this dude's literally getting the ultimate run out right now for everyone on his roster to continue to score points. The only thing that happened negatively was Henry fumbled.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, and then the second half
Yeah, I
went
guess
in,
him.
yeah.
Exact. Yep. So yeah,
Yeah,
that
but nice lineup. I mean, you get the Jalen Hurts, You don't fall into the same correlation trap that everybody did with Jalen Hurts, was just tapping his name plus AJ Brown every single time at that 6-7 turn. Instead, he taps
Well, he had
Jalen Hurts
Jefferson at
there
3.
and
He had
Jefferson at 3. So Jefferson at 3, Jalen
Hurts at
falls
10.
back to him. Derrick Henry falls back. Crazy that happened. I mean, like, I did 77 drafts and I didn't sniff a combination anywhere remotely close to this. But the most interesting thing about this lineup that was noted in our Discord was the fact that, yeah, it's really unique to get Hurts, Henry, and Jefferson. But then, I think most people would shell up after a start like that. They'd be like, whoa, this looks rare. Okay, I'm going to get some projectable floor points in here. I'm going to take the safe tight end. I'm going to try and get Hawkinson or Kittle or something of this magnitude. And this guy goes, nah, fuck it all. Let's lean the hell into the Philly side. Let's get Sanders and I mean, Sanders plus Hurts is actually negative correlation because he's not a pass catching running back, and they both, eat each other on the ground. But it doesn't matter if this team's going to keep putting up 50 every week, and it introduces
he's eating the negative correlation to the amount of leverage you're gaining.
Exactly. Yeah, because we've seen this quite a few times from Osimo in DFS this year, where he keeps landing on these running back, quarterback, and wide receiver stacks, like these onslaughts from one game environment. And, his biggest week, I think, or I assume his biggest week, where he was top 3 in the Millie and won the SPY that week as well, was Jacobs, Adams, and Derek Carr in the same lineup. So very similar thought process to this, where it's just like, let's get the best, the team that we think is going to score the most points on the slate. Let's just slam them and just find a way to do it. And that's exactly what this guy did. And then he gets on the Evan Ingram bring back off Derrick Henry. So, I mean, very, very fun team, very sharp team, very unique team. Just kind of blew it out of the water there. That was great. It's a great lineup for, I have no idea how to say this, Suhas. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what wise
looks good to me. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that. Nope. You got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, Joe, bringing up a point that we talked about, how like this is a very sticky topic. It's a very interesting topic that will be something that we'll have to do a deep dive on as we go through these contests, get a larger data set, and over the course of the summer. But like, yeah, we've seen a lot of things happen in these contests. We've seen skinny stacks win. We've seen onslaught stacks win. We have seen a lot of one-offs with no stacking and or correlation win. So, like we said off the top, it's only it's only 14 samples now. It's going to be hard to really infer anything concrete and binary to take away from these things going forward, that we know what the definitive strategy is. But if I could pinpoint one thing right now, I really do think tight end correlation makes a lot of sense, whether it's with quarterback or whether it's as run back. It kind of makes just a lot of sense because it's the most inherently volatile position. So tethering it to something else in your lineup makes sense.
You're just in a way, without sacrificing just grabbing, just the insane pieces, by just doing a sound piece like Evan Ingram, anyone in that tier, anyone above that tier, just literally anyone around there. You're just making that 6-leg parlay a 5-leg parlay. In terms of what you're telling yourself in that lineup, saying like, this is how the game's going to go. And I'm going to get the 2 pieces in there that matter, or that still don't matter. But when it comes to tight end, you don't necessarily normally need that outlier performance, but you're still giving yourself that out basically by just like easily giving yourself correlation to these other pieces in your lineup, and not doing just revision. Just going back to me, it's like, every time it's like, well, there goes Greg Dulcich. There goes seeking out to get Andrews and Hawkinson. It's like, sometimes just bypassing and building these other types of lineups where you can get an Evan Ingram or someone lower down there, and you're just basically getting that 6th-round pick tight end and not sacrificing a mid-round pick. I think that's also important to mix those into my portfolio and anyone's.
Absolutely. shout out Paul, great team here. Finished, I think it was 8th place there. Yeah, tied for 8th place. So you love to see it. Nice little 875 for him. Sharp roster with the Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, no run back. One of my biggest problems with my Philly stuff this week was I was eating a lot of 6th and a lot of 5th and 6th round Saquon Barkley. He projected so well this week, and as soon as I saw ETR was hammering on him, I was like, okay, I got to start mixing in a little bit more. And I think I buried a lot of my own Hertz stacks in that regard. Joe Mixon, one of the guys we talked up at length and wrote up for the article, and how it was like the spreadsheet says yes, the heart says no. If Mixon finds the end zone instead of Samaje there, maybe we're singing a different tune. Maybe scores like 18-ish points, 17-ish points. The spot looked incredible. 14 touches. He had 2 receptions. He had almost 100 yards. I think it was just kind of, I don't know. If I could do it again, I think I'd still do it again with Mixon this week.
Especially at cost.
Especially at cost. That's what I mean. I originally, when I wrote up the article and I didn't actually include it, I said that I was wavering on it because early in the week when it was at ADP, I loved it so much. And now that he was pushing up into the teens, I was kind of treating it as if my bags were packed.
Yeah. So he did shoot up. That is one thing. Yeah. So he was in the, at one point, 28. He was in the 28.
Yeah, it was 30. It was 35, 36. And then it moved all the way to 18.
Yeah.
By close. Yeah. So he was by far the biggest mover on the week. Yeah. Anyways, nice team here. Justin Jefferson. I mean, what more can you say about that dude? Like 223 yards on 15 targets, and he doesn't get in the end zone, and he still scores 27 points. Like, it's just crazy. He's not.
That shutout GA, he was right. They did call the play dead. I literally was just mainly just a salty Vikings fan. I mean, no, that's the only thing we can be with.
What are you talking about?
Jefferson had a touchdown that they called the play. They called the play dead. And he did not step out. It ended up being a KJ Osborne touchdown, which was, I mean, he still got Kirk, but yeah, Jefferson could have even had just blown the doors off more. So they would have gave him the 6 points, plus the like 40 or 30-ish more yards or something like that. So yeah, could have had 9 more on there for the guy.
Oh man, yeah, he would have probably broken the slate at that point then.
Yep.
This is Ben's team. Give us a little shout out on Twitter there. So really nice team that he came up with. We wrote up the Jared Goff side of how we liked that a bit there. Getting on DJ Shark as a contrarian stacking partner there with Justin Jefferson. Love to see it. Like that's a great skinny stack associated with something, a good way to get unique. And then Evan Ingram as a one-off, very, very sharp play there. And then Tony Pollard and Joe Mixon, 2 of the best running back smash spots on the slate. So, I mean, very well constructed team here. Very, very nice lineup. So big shouts to Ben there.
Yeah. Nice job. Yeah. If I would have been a little more smart about it, knowing Harrison was questionable and he had a legitimate shot of being out Harrison Smith with the Vikes, he's basically we had no safeties. You take Harrison Smith out, our defense is even. You take our defense is mediocre at best with Harrison Smith. You take it out, it's just god awful. So you take that out, and we just looked lost. Bynum, Metellus were just getting they did not know what to do. So we were just getting eaten alive over and over. Goff was loading up, and just every time he chucked it deep, I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's just slinging it right now.
Look out for the Lions. I mean, they've won 5 of their last 6, and they're flirting with.
If they didn't have that skid in the beginning of the year, they just skidded for some weird reason. They just looked lost, like they're about to just go into typical Lions. And they figured it out. So shout out to Detroit.
One off Daniel Jones down here. Don't mind if I do. That's fun. Okay, so the results, the optimal. I don't think anyone would have landed on this roster. I mean, you could have. Let's piece some logic to this one, Newbie. The optimal according to ADP by round with Chad, give me this one, would have been Justin Jefferson in the first round,
Okay.
CMC in the second round. So very conceivable start. Miles Sanders in the third round. So that's where it kind of gets a little wonky. Jerry Jeudy in the fourth, and then a Lawrence Ingram stack in the fifth and sixth. I don't think I ever would have got there.
So
I think you could galaxy brain your way to Jefferson, CMC, Miles Sanders as leverage off the Hurts stacks and stuff like that, and then maybe be like, hey, Lawrence Ingram stack. But I think most people's minds with the Lawrence Ingram stack would always be done off a run back with Henry. So getting a one-off Jerry Jeudy in the fourth round seems really inconceivable to me. That would just kind of be clicking buttons, in my opinion.
Dude, so I'll say it. I was taking Jerry Jeudy in the fifth and sixth, and was about to do it in the how I did it was how I've been starting. It's a new, just a kind of approach that I'm just looking at, and I'm looking at the drop off basically of ceiling, multiple projection sites, whatever you want to do, versus where they're going in drafts versus all these undrafted players. And my stand was I'm going to get overweight on Jeudy compared to the field. And the only way to do that is having to draft him up there.
Yeah.
When you look at Jeudy,
thought process, thought process though, Numi, you're already super unique by doing that and taking that exploitative stance. So I don't think you would go as far as to galaxy brain Sanders in the third as well with that.
But that's what I was honestly. So that's what I'm trying to get at is I was building not as far as that. I wasn't going, but I was. So here's my example. If you just take the combo ceiling of 3 different sites, and you look at, you go to up to AJ Brown. He had a 19.8 ceiling. This is on my sheet. He doesn't have it here. And then all the way down to DJ Moore, even Jerry Jeudy had a 15.7. That basically, or 15.9, 4-point gap. So we're telling me guys that are being drafted 100% of the time over and over again versus Jeudy, DJ Moore. I'm going to lump Thielen in there because he was in there. Even Debo. I was getting overweight to these guys because I felt that they should not be that significantly under-owed compared to these other people, compared to ceiling. Now, to wrap that in, Sanders is someone that was also popping in terms of the way his ceiling was compared to his counterparts. Miles Sanders had an 18 ceiling compared to guys that were going nonstop up there, which basically were like a 21 ceiling, and Cook, Pollard, Barkley. So it's like,
yeah. So I mean, when we're talking about rounds of ADP in people's minds, we're like, holy shit, this is like 15 picks of value. But when we're talking about projectable points, it's 3.
and that's what I'm trying to say. So like, what in a long series thing? Yes, I wouldn't have got to that. I agree with you. That seems like far, but honestly, I'm gonna be 100%. Like, I was close. I felt like I was closer to that. Obviously, had no Ingram and Lawrence, but I felt like, again, my process was getting close and doing it right in terms of just looking at these people or looking at these players, chess pieces per se. That's how I was trying to do it, and I was just going like Sanders. Even I had a lot of Pacheco. I even had some Latavius Murray, just for the fact that I'm like, these guys are like just not owned enough, simply not owned enough. But yeah, if you go into that, like taking Sanders, if you go back to your optimal and taking Sanders at the 3, you said that the third pick, right? And then Jeudy. Yeah. Would I have done that? No, because the other running backs up there, I would have been like, you're passing. But I look at that and I'm like, it's really not that crazy because you're just, it really isn't. If you're just looking, like, if you're really looking at, and yes, someone can look at me and go, well, ceiling on this person on this site. I have 3 different sites. I bring in the rankings for ETR. We have like a bunch of other sharp people in the industry. So it's like, I'm not just looking at just one site, do that. Like, I'm looking at a bunch of different things, people in the industry. This is what we should be looking at, rather than just doing the I know better takes. Like, these are projection models. Like, so just looking at that and seeing what these people and basically their ownership, like I know I'm going to be naming half, but Dameon Pierce, Pacheco, Foreman, Sanders, Travis Etienne was way up there in ceiling. Another guy that I even after hearing your take, projections agreeing with it. I mean, he had a higher projection than Zeke, Swift, Chubb. So it's like I'm just like, I'm going to build that. It didn't work, but easily it could have been. Who's going to say the game couldn't have happened where a touchdown or a touchdown didn't go to ETN versus like screen pass or something like that.
Yeah, he had 3 goal line carries.
Exactly. Like the 11 people playing 11 people on a game with random acts and all happening. Like it's a game playing on it. A bunch of things are going to happen. Penalties, the refs calling something one way are going to set up for a fantasy opportunity another way on a goal line. So it's a bunch of different things, but yeah, I think basically to go back to that optimal, I feel I was kind of close to that in terms of just saying I'm screwing it. I do not care about ADP. I really didn't. I was trying to build some crazy teams. Like I would get Jefferson at the 1 and I would bypass everyone there. And I did a lot of Burrow Higgins. And then I would just keep building down down the board like that. And
below that. Yeah.
So
yeah, I think
long-winded speech.
Yeah. I think ADP is a very interesting conversation that I kind of want to do some in-depth stuff with Mark about it tomorrow. But I threw out a half-cut tweet on Saturday night there when I was riding in an Uber that just like came to mind, where effectively ADP matters 0% in small isolated samples, but it matters very, very much so for an elongated sample, right?
So example, best ball versus BR, correct?
Yeah. So like BR being like a single week game, because like one touchdown matters so much, it's way more like ADP doesn't matter nearly as much and you can be way more exploitative. Whereas over the course of an entire season, when we're dealing with mean and median projections, one touchdown means nothing, right? Like it's 6 points added to an overarching total. Therefore, like, it doesn't mean nothing, but it means nothing. Therefore, we should stay closely tethered to ADP because the deviation from it is like more stark over time than potentially deviating from it in short samples could be. We'll do some more well thought out talking on that. I know Mark's really into
you
it.
You guys banter very well with that as I sit here and get taken to church. But I mean I agree with you. Like I taking the stand, like the one-off Judy's, I had about 25 lineups of one-off Judy's. I have just different areas of I mean, I'll say it the same thing, DJ Moore. So to sound less brilliant, I had 25, literally I had about 20 to 25 DJ Moore lineups with and without, like, so I'll take the L there, but it's like, yeah, these players down there that are deemed basically like, oh, I'll mix them in, like they're good late round. It's like, just start grabbing them basically third, fourth, maybe fourth, fifth, sixth, maybe third, like depending on where they're ranking, like, you know what I mean? And obviously we get more information as the week goes on, but yeah, I think it would be interesting to know when this one was drafted too.
Yeah, that'd be a good piece of information. I want to move on to the next slate and start some drafts here and stuff. But there's one thing I wanted to add to that you brought up there. If I am playing less volume, I am going to be focused considerably less on being tethered to ADP. And I think that should be an inherent and logical thing, but I'll explain it. If you are playing 10 entries, why would you want your 10 entries to overlap with the field?
Yeah.
Like, because if you're playing 10 entries and you're trying to build a quote unquote super team and get the best ADP values possible, you're just overlapping with the guys who are drafting 150 over and over again at so many frequencies that you basically only have one out to being optimal. Maybe it's a unique combination. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's one-off player. Why not give yourself a path to victory of fuck it all and just build completely rogue. Because look at these names at the top of the results board. And like, I know I don't like to be results oriented, but like we've seen this multiple times now where we get like less than 10% owned guys, less than 40% owned guys all the time at the top here,
That's
like
yeah.
everyone has 100% exposure, or like the field has 100% exposure to Jalen Hurts. Like, I'm not suggesting that Trevor Lawrence is going to outscore him every single week, and you should do that. But if you're only playing 10 lineups, I think we should be thinking way more in this contrarian path to victory, and either we're going to lose or we're going to win. ADP value means considerably less to me, especially if I'm building less ones. Yeah, here, Paul brings it up, right? It's hard to get unique with ADP values with 50K entries. That's a beautifully simplistic way to put it from the champ right there, right?
Yeah, like I honestly, I'll raise everyone and be like, my approach was I maxed and I wanted to do exactly what you did. Still, I took some lineups where I took the nice values. You saw me. I had my bit for the week with you guys. Like, I don't always stack this guy, but when I do, and I'd send like an ultra, like I'd get those. That was maybe 25% lineups in my portfolio, maybe 30. Like otherwise, I just went crazy. I literally said, and I know it's results, but I was literally winning $200 maybe halfway into, or like by halftime of the games. Halfway. I ended up actually winning 200 because Judy just separated. Just literally just every lineup was getting passed by everyone else because they're dead. They don't have one-off Judy's doing this. I know it's an example, but you can do that with anyone. If Moore hit, if another one, my stand was I'm going to go way overweight Chase. If Chase ended up just breaking the slate, you know what I mean? It's just it's interesting things like that where I just decided to go, I'm just going to build crazy lineups. Like people are going to look at my lineups and drafts and go, what are you doing right now? And I'm just going to say, like, I just think, again, everyone's being tethered to these same lineups. We have to get these same things and build these. It's like, I'm just going to get crazy. And it didn't work. It got close enough. And I'm excited to do it again this week. I'm excited to see what we have for the Saturday contest. I'm hoping that we can get a nice balance where we don't have to shave too much off the top for the main battle royale. But I know it's going to be interesting having the two contests. So
yeah, let's move into tonight. We got a Monday night and a Thursday night. I have very, very mixed feelings on these two gamers right now. I know it's small sample. I know blah blah blah. Good time for Carlos to chime in here, GM, my friend. Just he's got two lineups up here at 5 and 7. Him and I had 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 for a good chunk of last night, and it didn't pan out for either of us. This was a slate where Mike Williams had a Q tag despite having been practiced in full and was available in the 6th round. I want to read you my exposures. Normally I wouldn't do this. I did 43 entries. That's $430. I won 512. So I made no fucking money. These are my exposures from the slate. Mike Williams, 60%. Austin Eckler, 53%. Gerald Everett, 44%. Josh Jacobs, 41%. Tyreek Hill, 39%. Those are the 5 highest scoring players on the slate.
I was just going to say, like, I did not watch the game
order.
last night. You got to get
in order.
With
the exception of Keenan Allen. I made $80. I made less than that. I made I made $80.
Yeah, I mean, are you getting different? Who won? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. What's the lineup that won it? Is it just a crazy lineup?
And the lineup that wins is somehow a Herbert double or Herbert triple with the best tight end on the slate, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and then the 2 best plays on the slate on the same team in Jacobs and Tyreek Hill. And it's like, I did 43 of these. I spread them out. I went hyper exploitative and only targeted basically that game.
How
plus
does this
Jacobs.
Draft go?
I have no idea. But this is where I'm kind of just going with this, right? Is I don't know if these things are beatable. I don't think the EV of diversifying and and getting different with these. Like, I want to bring up Carlos's lineup because I thought it was incredible. Carlos's lineup right here. Look at this beautiful lineup. He gets quote unquote he gets lucky to get Herbert with the 2 stud running backs. That is a fortunate build for someone who's playing volume. But it wasn't a super team because he's got to get unique, and he hits and nails this Ben Skoranek pick. And I was like, you know what? If I lose to this lineup, fucking so be it. That's a beautiful lineup. He built a medium super team, but it wasn't unobtainable for the majority of people. And then he had a beautiful Skoranek play mixed into it. And I'm like, boom, that's respect. That's what these winning lineups should look
I
like,
didn't
right?
play. How did the drafts normally go? Can you just name off like the first 2 rounds? How did it normally look?
Jacobs or Adams would be like 1 or 2.
3 mans, right? Okay, 3-person drafts. Jacobs, Adams. Okay.
Jacobs, Adams, and then it would be some combination of Eckler, Waddle.
Okay.
Who am I missing that flopped?
Hill, you mean?
Oh, Hill. Hill would usually go. Hill was 1. It was Hill was 1, and then it was some combination of Jacobs, Adams,
gotcha,
Eckler, Herbert, and then Tua would usually be stacked with Hill, or Tua would be stacked with the Waddle person, and then the other guy would be hung out to dry with the last.
So going back to that winning team, I'm just like, what? Naming off you just so.
And that's why in some capacity, I'm like I've been number 1 guy to preach volume is king, volume is king, volume is king, because you just expose yourself to all these potential combinations. But I think we might be pissing in the wind with some of these 2-game contests. Like I don't know. I really don't know.
I've just stopped doing them because it's just like I don't. Again, I'm not going to get onto it, but having them thrown out, and I'm just like, okay, and then having the same lineup that is in the contest, I'm just like, okay,
right.
like I don't know what's going on.
Lineup wins, right?
Yeah. So it's just for $10, I'd rather do 2 MBAs and then continue to do more MBAs and then continue to do more MBAs and then be wondering how they got that lineup. No, just kidding.
Right.
But,
exactly. Right. Yeah, Carlos brings up a good point. Mike Williams wasn't getting drafted in number. Yeah, we touched on that, how he was the Q tag and he was the 6th round guy. That basically,
so in theory,
he
took Hill first and then got lucky with Jacobs and Herbert falling back. Yeah. And then Keenan falls back with Everett, and then he gets
the other way it could have happened, Numi, is the other 2 players took quarterbacks. One thing I'll say is an overarching theoretical
that can happen.
Boosting up the quarterbacks on these slates is very, very bad process. Just because Adams, the way poor quarterbacks score points, the way tight ends score points, I think it's bad process.
It would be quarterbacks, and so it would be. So in theory, Hill goes first, and then it goes the 2 quarterbacks, 2-3, and then Eckler, Adams, and then so without who is the other quarterback? Miami
Mac Jones.
No. This was Miami. Chargers.
Carr. So someone stacks Carr with Adams, and somebody else stacks. Gotcha. Yeah. So Robert brings up the right point here. It's that I missed it. It's feasible because someone builds out the other side of the game, the other side of the game. And basically the only way to build super teams in this contest is when you get left with the QB1 for the very last pick, because the other 2 quarterbacks go in front of you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how it happens.
It's feasible. It's feasible for it to get drafted. It's crazy. Like, again, maybe that's volume. So again, it'd be nice to see on a competitor site they have where you see a number of drafts they've entered per contest. That would be kind of cool to see. Obviously, it just to see that he did 150. He did a lot of them rather than he jumped into 5 or 1 and got that. But yeah, I mean, it's feasible to see it. But then just if we go in the rest of the draft, then he takes that, and then I guess the rest of it would go. Was Keenan not thrusted up enough? And then no,
he was. Keenan would have been the next wide receiver off the board behind Tyreek, Waddle, and Adams every single time, and he was sitting right there.
So then it came to the 3-4 or the 2-3. He took Herbert and Jacobs, and then how would the
Herbert
next
would be the last pick. Herbert would have to be the last pick because the two
you're
other
right.
quarterbacks go in front.
You're right.
Herbert
You're right.
has to
You're
be
right.
6th round, very last one.
You would be able to see it on your phone, so I don't get to know. So if anyone is within this contest, they can let us know how the draft went.
Anyways, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. It's just kind of belaboring the point that I don't know how winnable these contests are without just insane volume. So if I'm going to play, I'm going to either play on nights where I think I have distinct leverage, which I thought I had in this contest with Mike Williams. That was my stand. And that's the segue to tonight, because I think tonight there is some very, very distinct leverage in this contest. This Monday night, Thursday night contest is a Seattle-San Francisco Thursday night game, and it's New England, Arizona tonight. And we have a double-edged sword of Ken Walker with a 0 projection. Whoa, Ken Walker now has an 8.9 projection. So I have 100% Ken Walker right now. I've only done 5 of them this morning. But I had 100% Ken Walker because he had a 0 projection. And it's just kind of like, yeah, you're not going to get that in the 6th round. And the double-edged sword was Debo, carted off the field, has a Q tag beside his name. Feels very, very similar to the 2-game slate in which we had where Marquise Brown had the Q tag beside his name. People were drafting him on Sunday and Monday night, and then all of a sudden he was on IR on Thursday prior to that game. Yeah, so I think there's a couple distinct points of leverage in this contest. I think it's fading Debo unless you get him in the 6th round and he's just going to be a swap. I think the Ken Walker window may have closed now that he has an 8.9 projection and he is above Travis Homer. And then the other one is George Kittle being a tight end that can potentially break the slate. Though I will throw out the fact that Arizona pass funnel for the last bajillion years, and Joka put in our group chat how many points over expectation the tight end position or Arizona allows to the tight end position. And both Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith as maybe a late round one-off are looking pretty nice right now. So yeah, anyways, I just think on these slates now going forward, if I'm not going to play 100% volume, in my opinion, I think it's finding these leverage spots, and those are the ones I've identified for this slate. Anything else there, Numi?
That's been in them and done them. So
okay. Yeah, fair enough. The Seattle backfield's an interesting one. We got no DJ Dallas and no Ken Walker last week, and then we end up with Tony Jones getting the start in quotations, and then he only plays 4 snaps, and it's entirely Travis Homer's backfield. So I do think there's definitely some merit into having some Travis Homer exposure, but knowing that, hey, DJ Dallas could come back and Ken Walker could come back, and that would just sink those teams in theory. Yeah, there's that. And then Brock Purdy, MRI on his oblique today. So not sure what to make of that. He obviously didn't finish the game because it was a blowout, but he didn't finish the game because of injury-related concerns. It was because it was a blowout. So, yeah, anyways, just...
Yeah, and just to touch on, this is what I was talking about, what Drafters does, where they put the number in parentheses. Just basically like if John entered 47 drafts, you would see each draft that he's entered would have a parenthesis for the number of drafts. So like if his second draft would have Roto Run parenthesis 2. That's how Drafters does it. Again, not having to just go that, but just to see what entry it was and then how many they've done. You can see that.
That's how DraftKings does it too, right? Because it does really provide some clarity for both the user and whatever. Because if that guy's change, if that guy's draft is like 1 of 1, which we've seen 1 of 1s win the slate multiple times now this year. I think it's 2 times that we've seen a main slate get won by a 1-of-1 first draft ever. And then on 2 gamers, we've seen once or twice as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that you just roll into like the greatest room ever and ship the thing. Like the fact that I still haven't shipped this at 2 gamer and somebody else is just rolling in here 1-of-1 and shipping them is just kind of like,
I think it just
okay.
matters again to it just matters that it really matters your draft environment that you get into. Not only is it luck and variance through the skill of your players, it's
Mhm.
also incorporated in the draft room and the draft environment you're in. You have no say in anything about what your opponents are going to do. You're at the will of what they do, and then you get what they get left. If you get into that draft and all of a sudden you sent me that lineup, that same
Mhm.
lineup, like you registered, you clicked reg, and you're in that spot that orange whatever was in, and all of a sudden you're at 2, and you're like, you
Mhm.
take Tyreek, and then you take this, and you're like, whoa, whoa. And it's funny because he actually did I don't know if he did a
How do you
no-no,
not
but
draft another one?
I don't know about that, but so Silas put it here how it was drafted, and I don't know if those quarterbacks were taken above that, but he's funny how he does take Herbert 14 to make me think like he did need to take Herbert. So
Hmm.
it's just a really
So
interesting then.
the room must have all sat on quarterback in that regard, which makes the ADPs, or he's a recreational drafter and fucked up and took quarterback when he didn't need
Exactly.
to.
That's my thing. That's my thing.
I
So
don't
it's like
know.
it's just funny. It's just funny to see that. But yeah, like we
9
talked.
CMC through 11 drafts must be nice. Holy
Yeah, I don't
shit.
know. We talk about the luck and the variance and the random acts and these people do on the field. Like it also matters to people we get into the draft board, and that's half of it. We're not just building
Yeah.
these lineups and can build whatever we want in terms of get this exposure to whatever the ownership's going to be and leverage it
Mhm.
there. Like it's still in the Wild West. Like that's why I still think there's an edge in
Mhm.
it, and it is beatable. And the fact that people have rolled up and just won once with one lineup just shows that again,
Mhm.
it is. Granted, we
Yeah.
don't know how to calculate it and how much is getting into that lucky room matter. Who knows? But that could also uh, do the same thing for best ball. I mean, I think earlier there was a point, I don't know if I touched on, but like you were talking about like does if you think of the best BR and the same thing at best ball, but you take the week in terms of the whole year, like people were talking about getting in late and they were scared to get in late for BR because they were
Uh-huh.
scared about the ADP changes. Well,
Right.
if that's
Sure.
the
Yeah.
same thing, why would you if you do that, but then like would that mean you're scared to get in basically at a certain time in best ball because all the ADPs and values and like a winner can't be done there? Like so I think that's like the same correlation to there. It's just really interesting. The whole thing, it's like a mini version of best ball, but even more of Wild West. And I think it's just
Mhm.
with just 1 week, we can really, really get leveragey and just basically throw this ADP out the window while still respecting it in a way and building
Mhm.
smart lineups. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's really interesting. And these 2 game
Yeah.
slates are still more of the Wild West than anything else.
I wanted to hit on something that you talked there because I didn't really want I wanted to save this one for tomorrow with Mark, but now that you brought it up, I really want to bring it
Shoot.
up. Even from an exploitative stance, like if we are playing, showdown slates or we are playing max entering the millie or something, we can make the conscious decision to be like, hey, 100% Justin Jefferson this week. If that's a stand that we want to take, we can make that decision regardless of the salary. His salary could be 7,000, his salary could be 11,000, his ownership could be 30, his ownership could be 3. It doesn't matter. We could make that conscious decision. The kickback on Battle Royale and Best Ball and all this stuff is going to, and then we're going to continually hear until the shit gets ironed out and we find the perfect way to play these games, that the RNG dictates our exposures. That is what we're going to hear for forever, because I couldn't come in, even if I ranked it that way, even if my ceiling projections were this way, even if I was like, hey, I'm going to play super exploitative this week. I can't come into this slate for this 2-gamer and be like, lock button Christian McCaffrey, 100% Christian McCaffrey, right? Like I've done 5 drafts or whatever,
Yep.
no Christian McCaffrey. Raise It's done 11 drafts. He's got 9 Christian McCaffrey, right? Like, yeah, where's the balancing act in that where it becomes a skill-based game more so than an RNG-based game? Where do we get, how do we improve the game so that draft slot matters less, or that we can get exposures to players in capacities in which we want, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just very interesting, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, like to your it's funny because like we talked about strategies and like earlier the you were prioritizing Higgins over cost or over Chase
mhm,
at cost yesterday. My
mhm,
strategy was I'm bypassing almost Amon-Ra, sometimes Kelsey, sometimes every time Diggs, to literally go get Chase. And you saw
mhm,
my Chase exposure, like that's a lot of Chase. I'm like, yeah, like my conscious decision was to literally have more Chase than in my portfolio than anything else. And
mhm.
that's what happened. And you can do that with these other things. Now it does come into like in these smaller contests where there's less players and less star players. But one thing that I keep having to tell myself, yes, these star players are the star players, and you can get that big lineup, and you can get that lineup that you saw um that just took it down. But the star players on the slates don't always score and end
Of
up
course, of
winning it.
course.
So
But
like,
if I was allowed to have like 150 and design my lineups perfectly, that's the first one I design,
well,
right? So
100, yeah. So
everyone
if
would
you can
have it.
get it, yeah, if you can
So,
get it. Like if you can go get that lineup, get it attainable. But it's like
mhm,
if you're basically, it's like if you see the first round went this way and the second round's going this way, you can kind of tell yourself, all right, this is another common start to just general drafts. Now this is where
mhm,
we got to pull strings and get different. And if it's going to be common like this, then that's where you can get, like Silas said here, he's playing. So this is what I did when I played them. I literally would do max 10 entries. Same thing for like the afternoon, minimum entries, and go heavy on the exposures like the mid tier guys. That's where he's taking
mhm.
his stand. He's getting overweight
Yeah.
to players, which is a kind of how I approach it and kind of how I do it as well. So
Yeah, I think that's a viable strategy if you're playing exploitative small sample. I think that's a viable
I
strategy. But my point is more to, if I want to play this game, like this game doesn't have the same edge that TFS does because there's inherent randomness. And It brings up the good point that the RNG puts floors and ceilings on exposures, which balances out over time. Yes, 100%. But like that's implying that you have an infinite sample of, that implies that we have an infinite sample forever, and that also implies that we have infinite amount of capital to keep throwing at these games. There could be some very good players who just run really really bad, and they never amount to anything in these games simply because RNG. That's what's interesting about it, which is completely devoid of the game itself, right? The
yeah.
RNG is a separate avenue associated with the game. Yeah, it's very fun. It's interesting to talk about.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Anyways,
and then it brings up that it's just each contest is a whole different beast. Each sport is a
oh,
whole
very much
different
so.
beast. Adding
Mhm,
new contests in each sport. Like once we got the like, I mean, we're not going to get into it, but like the pre-stream days, y'all would have got the Roto Run, or sorry, in Discord it's Jay Warner, the Jay Warner book in the Discord that we used. You would have got his all of a sudden when we went from the $5 to the $100 big fly. All of a sudden he's
mhm,
like, John just goes in like, all right, fellas, this is how we need to approach this contest, and all this, and we got the book and all that. So like those gears turned just in baseball from a I think it was just a 24-man $100. And that was John's jam. John's just like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to max these $5 anymore. Too big of a grind. Can't do it on the daily basis. Give me the $100. I'll get my exposure there. And
mhm.
like, it's just each contest, each sport is different. So when they keep opening up and these avenues open, it's going to be, it's going to, yeah. Sorry, as I'm talking as you pick, you just go
No,
ahead.
you're good.
It's just going to introduce even more talking points and more interesting things going on with the RNG and all that. So I mean, they have so many different ways to expand on in these games. So
Yeah, I think Chip brings up a really interesting one in here that I had never thought of before. I think this is really sharp. An option that you could potentially pick your draft slot before you draft, and it matches you with corresponding picks to create draft lobbies. I think that's really fucking cool. I think that's a really cool idea.
yeah, that's
So it's like
awesome.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
join a lobby.
And you can
join a
queue up
lobby.
what
You say
spot.
you queue up.
Yeah.
You queue up 1 through 6 on which slot you want, and then it randomly queues to
It's like
whatever.
like
So
the
like if
ESPN mock drafts when you get in there and you like want to
yeah,
practice your drafts or whatever, you just
exactly.
click your
Practice your
spot, the
draft
lobby
spot.
would. That's a man, that got me excited. That's a great idea, Chip. I'm just gonna
That's
put
a
that up there again for anyone that and again, yeah, and that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
mhm. Interesting decision here. I was setting up for a Brock Purdy team because I saw baby Stevie goes ahead and takes our last pick there
Um,
with. I think this would be a very interesting build to get unique with. I was okay, so I was setting up for a Brock Purdy team because I was like, oh, here we go. But then we get Geno to fall to us. I'm not sure Geno is like that much better a play, but I do think it's pretty interesting to get Geno in the last round here. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and take Geno, and then I think I'm gonna take Marquise
I
Goodwin
was just
here.
gonna say, let's take Marquise Goodwin. Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
In
I
these,
mean,
let's do it.
he had
I love
6
it.
targets for 90 something yards this week and a touchdown. It was a garbage time
Yes.
touchdown where they were trailing and whatever, but hey, garbage time points count the exact
Um,
same as regular time points. I think this is kind of a unique build because I think if you pass on quarterback for 4 rounds, that Geno is almost never there. So I do think getting Geno in the 4th there, or in the 5th, sorry, makes it very interesting.
yeah, something I want to touch on that Silas said is something I've said immediately is why I touched way back when I was like we should make these 2 gamers whatever. I was like I also was like we should just make Thursday, Sunday, Monday all one slate. Just make it one slate. You can make it a larger contest. I know then but if you do that, you can in theory get the next contest up kind of earlier. Um, and it just I don't know. I think that's just something really interesting. Maybe that's not what he's talking about, but
Yeah.
all the island
No, I think
games for
that's what he's talking
VR.
about, yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think other people were talking about that earlier, but
I think the
that would
problem I'll play devil's advocate for a second for that. The problem with that is the drafting window then overlaps with, the BR and the main slate stuff,
just no,
just
it
for just
just
early in the
Monday,
week.
Tuesday, when yeah. I mean, but then you don't have
Well,
anything else to then you don't
you
have
would do it in
anything else
the
to draft.
okay, let me finish, you would do it in the same week, right? You wouldn't wanna
Mhm.
cross over opposite weeks. So you would do it as
Correct.
Thursday, Sunday, Monday. Draft window closes on Thursday, but
But
you're incorporating Sunday, Monday.
yes, well, yeah, so here's what I was thinking. You open it, so I don't know whenever they initially open it, but you could open it on like Sunday night, legitimately Sunday night, the next one.
After the Sunday closes. Yeah, so you
Well,
have
no,
a
no, you
day
don't
to
have to even
draft
do you don't
before.
have to do a Sunday. Just stop doing these 2 gamer mix up
Oh, I
ones
see.
and
Yeah.
just do Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and then when they fill on Thursday night,
Yeah.
basically you can have that window, let your BR fill whatever, and then Sunday night when there's no other drafts or when the afternoon closes, you release the next one so then it can fill all the
Mhm.
way up to Thursday, closes, do the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I think decision point on the slate, well, you still haven't got a McCaffrey share yet. Decision point on the slate here is Ramondre versus DeAndre Hopkins. I think is a very interesting one. Ramondre with or Kyler, I guess. If you think he's in a considerable tier above, I've kind of just been like forget quarterback in these for a bit here, unless he falls in some capacity. But I think most drafts are going to kind of look like this: CMC at the 1, Ramondre goes next, and then Hopkins plus Murray go next, or someone does Hopkins plus DK Metcalf. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you're going to get fun, unique builds from the front end of these drafts. He opts for the Connor one. I'm going to go ahead and take DK here in hopes that Stevie takes no quarterback and it doesn't matter what quarterback we end up with now. Um, I think there might be a little bit of leverage in Mac Jones in these games. I think everybody's going to get caught up in the recency bias of Brock Purdy and be like, "Oh yeah, like look what he just did to a good Bucks defense." I'm going to try and set up the Geno double and hope that Hope that our guy on the end doesn't take naked Gino from us for no reason. But such is the nature of these drafts. He goes ahead and does us the favor of taking Mac Jones. If he had looked at our roster, he probably would have known we were not going to take Mac Jones anyways. So that works out nicely in our favor. Ayuk seems like a really nice price tag right here, just in general. I'm very, very highly anticipating no Debo this week. That's unfortunate that Kittle falls or doesn't fall to us there. Do you have a lean here, Numi, between Ayuk, the Ken Walker play, going full Seattle onslaught, Hunter Henry versus Arizona?
Do Ayuk? I think
Yeah,
you
I
have
think
him there.
Ayuk
I like Ayuk.
he makes sense as like the best bring back option, I think.
As much as I like Ken Walker, totally get the value. I mean, if I'm doing this contest, I'll have some. The play against the defense does not seem ideal. Injured or coming back or not, I know it's not serious, but it's just, don't get me wrong. Again, if I'm doing the contest, Ken Walker in the 5th round, it's like we say over and over, like just you're gonna take it. It's just again that matchup.
Let's talk
scary.
1 second here. We got 8 on the clock here.
You make.
I think I like Trey McBride,
right.
and I'll tell you why. I think going crazy Seattle onslaught is entirely fine. I think going crazy Seattle onslaught will probably be a little bit rarer than we think it is, but it's definitely going to exist. And we've seen such a condensed passing tree from them so far that like, but it's the wide receivers getting home every week. I know Noah Fant had the touchdown 2 weeks ago, but I mean, like if we're buying one of these two guys, like we're buying somewhat limited opportunity, like 3-4 targets. I think kind of taking a dart throw on Trey McBride as a run back where we don't have any Arizona from the other game environment and just being like, hey, Arizona's game is a low scoring game because we're betting on the Seattle game right now. We just have to go like, hey, Arizona's a low scoring game. Ramondre's the piece you need, scores a couple touchdowns, and Trey McBride is the guy that falls into the end zone for Arizona. Because by having DK and Tyler Lockett and Gino, we're effectively betting against, with this roster, we're betting against DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, like, and Marquise Brown pretty heavily. So why not layer that on thick with an extra like piece of correlation that beats those players from that game environment? I don't know. Yep. Just kind of thought process, thinking out loud, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got it. That's kind of like what you're just doing. What I think people should be doing is when they're building their lineups and telling a story. It's fun. It's fun to do it too, but it's just it makes sense rather than just it makes you feel better than just clicking buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean?
Right.
So it makes you're doing it. You're doing it in a thoughtful way. You're not just going out there and again, just clicking buttons. You're telling yourself the story, which I think. I'd like to hope maybe again it would be awesome to get some of these guys maybe later on when people jump on YouTube, whatever they find us, they can be like, yeah, I'm that guy that won that one time. Here's my story. I clicked buttons. You know what I mean? like something like that. But I don't know. It would be it's interesting just to see like it would be interesting to see some of these guys as how they approach it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, shout out Joka, always hanging out in the chat. Listening at 2x speed, I hate to sound. I'd hate to hear what I sound like.
I was
in
just gonna say, yeah, I'm probably just going like this. You can't even imagine what I'm talking about. You just I already talk like I'm a madman. I'm surprised people can even listen to me to start with. This guy's just going demon mode.
I also liked the single game or 2 games without quarterback. It was hard, but there were exploitives. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, Silas. Hey, shout out Silas real quick. I'm just looking on Spike Week to see if he has his article up yet, and he does. Yeah, so before mandatory reading before you dive into this slate, go check this one out. Of course, he's nice and sharp. He's already talking up the tight end pass funnel. He's talking about Greg Dortch coming back, had 11 targets in the most recent game that he played, but that was 3 weeks ago without Let's do something weird here. What do you think about this? Let's do this and see what happens. Am I talking to myself? Yep, I'm talking to myself. Numi ran away. Numi left without even telling me he left. I'm talking to myself. This is pathetic.
True. That's hilarious. I said I'll be right back. I said you take the. I said you cover this.
Oh, classic.
No idea, my brother. There we have a. I know it doesn't matter. Actually, Gia, I don't know where you're located. You seem to have a lot of thoughts on Minnesota sports. You could just be a fellow heartbroken lad like me. But well, so the I listen to K Fan, and again, I don't know where you are, but they have a scheduling predicament where they make jokes about what are you going to watch today? What are you going to do and all this stuff. It's like, well, sadly, I can't watch either. Because I don't have Bally and I refuse to pay for Bally Sports. Respect. But yeah, so I watch, and again, when I have like League Pass and all that, of course they black out everything. I just can't pay for another subscription service, literally, just to watch sadness. But yeah, why do they always play on the same night? Are they in the same? Like, are we both in the Twin Cities too? That'd be hilarious. But yeah, I feel like that happens a lot. Yeah, you do you.
Yes.
My input literally doesn't matter. I'm so checked
Well,
out.
you're chatting about other stuff, so I'm just.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just
you get me
going with
anything
it.
about
I want to.
Minnesota, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh yeah. It's like, let me hold the door open. It's like, I'm not coming in this door. I'm still holding it. It's like, I'm going this way. It's like, I got it. Don't worry. It's available if you ever do want to get in.
Knows what you're talking about, Newbie. Oh my gosh.
I'm holding the door open for someone. You know? Everyone knows if you're from up here. Minnesota, nice. Anyway, yeah. We're an hour and 15 into the show. It happens.
Yeah, let's do some hoops here. A little shout out Silas's article here, Spike Week. That's what I was kind of talking about for half a second, and then we had to draft there. Go read that on Spike Week, and then also like Spike Week always has rankings and whatnot. Even if you're not going to follow them or use them or something, it's a nice little thought process or thought exercise to get to see where like someone sharp's mindset is at and stuff. I don't think Eric plays these contests very frequently, but he definitely uses the blitz projection models and the what the hell am I blanking on? Roto Grinders stuff because they're affiliated with them. So it's a nice little resource there to just get a sense of the slate to see where they're at. I was thinking about making this one. Well, there's two options, I think. I think it's a double stack team, and I think it's going to be Mac Jones and Nelson Aguilar. I think most people who take Mac Jones are going to pair him with Hunter Henry out of necessity. I think that's entirely fine, entirely viable. We talked about how they're a tight end funnel, where they're a tight end funnel because they get beat over the middle and they have good corners on the outside. That's what Nelson Aguilar does well. And we saw Nelson Aguilar in the game already without Jacoby Myers put up an 8-target game and feast over the middle. I like that. Sal's telling me to take Taekwon there. Go read his article, and then you can see, yeah, rankings stem from RG, so free way to see RG's rankings. There you go, exactly. So
that's what Brendo
makes
uses
a lot of,
in NBA.
That's what, sorry, who?
Brendo in the chat.
Yeah, there you go. And he's been having some success recently.
He's as much a hoop guy as you are.
Exactly. So, I mean, even if you're not going to use them verbatim and just like take them, it's just very interesting to go look at them. You'll note like some key things where you can exploit. Like we just talked about the Brandon Ayuk one. They actually have Brandon Ayuk over Hopkins, which is fine, surprising in my mind. I wouldn't have guessed that, but that's what helps us get a glance at this slate right here. And they got Brock Purdy, and they actually got Geno as the worst quarterback play on this slate. So very interesting stuff there. Just always, the more resources we can pull together for these contests over and over again, get 100%. A sense of where the field is at, makes sense. So always checking out those, always checking out Silas's article. Let's talk a little hoops. let's just dive in blind here and draft, or what do you think here? Have you been in the streets yet, Numi?
I have, yes, sir.
Yep. And
So Luca is gonna play. That's good to know. He's the 101.
oh, pause. One more sharp one to throw out here. Smart play from Carlos in the chat. Been taking Jordan Mason considering Debo is likely out. That's good. That's very good. They did not have another running back active this week. Jordan Mason has become that second running back for them now with Elijah Mitchell out. We thought they would activate TDP the last 2 games or whatever. They have not, or they have not used him if they have had him. So this is a very sharp play, and Debo frees up like 4 to 5 carries a game. And we saw when a game gets out of hand and they salt the clock away, it's Jordan Mason's season. And he showed a little bit of burst yesterday, just like from an eye test, getting to the second level a couple times in garbage time when everybody and their dog knew they were running the football. So nice little shout from Carlos there to be mixing in as a 6th round dart. Okay, back to Luca. Numi. Luca, 101. Then what?
Luca is available to play. So just going in terms of ADP, I'll give like the big question marks. We have Ja Morant, who is questionable.
Is he a legit Q?
He's questionable with a thigh put on it last night. The thing about Ja is they didn't play till last Friday. They didn't play till Friday. They had 2 days off. So I'm taking a lot of Ja. Because again, if he's out, that opens up plenty of spots for swaps. And still there's plenty of options down there. So yeah, I've just been eating the Ja because my rankings have him up in the top 4 versus a 7 ADP.
I think my bro science brain right now just goes like this. That's where my brain goes. You know what? I might even do like that. I might even do, I don't know. Like that's where my mind goes. Am I anywhere close?
What did you do? So the thing about Tatum is he has been absolutely on fire. Like he did have a little, I guess a down game with 18 points, but he's been pretty nasty. But it is in a lower scoring game. So I'll take Tatum at that cost. I'll just take him. But yeah, if in terms of just ranks, he also is 3rd too. So it's just interesting. But so Jimmy Butler's probable. If you just want to scroll down, he's like 14 ADP. I'm expecting him to play. The only team on a back-to-back is the Hawks. The thing to notice about that, we don't have any news on Bogdanovic.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to play. Granted, he has been playing 30-something minutes, but this is going to be, I think, his first back-to-back of the season.
Yeah, and he filled it up last night too.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's a great play. It's just you could definitely take some in the 6th round. It does definitely not to do it, but he definitely I think he might sit just in terms of a player that could come out of nowhere and sit. And RG does have him on there as potential rest. So
okay.
Donovan Mitchell is a Q tag at 19. He went through shoot around though, and another player I've been taking quite a bit of. So
that's noteworthy because the other day when he sat, he did not go through shoot around?
Correct.
Yeah.
And granted, we don't know what that does or doesn't mean because I feel like Donovan Mitchell could just be like, I'm not going to go through shoot around and still play. But it does, in terms of what happened last time, it does bode like good news, bode well.
Okay.
In terms of other high news, sorry.
Luka, Ja, Trey, Tatum, KD off the top there. The Trey one's interesting without DeJounte.
Yeah, Trey's definitely up there. Trey is 100% up there. So like if I just would go,
KD as your 2, and who else you got then?
So I have Luka, KD. Like in terms, so it's tough. Tatum, I'll take at 3 because that's one of the only places you can get them. If I were to rank them, you're right. It would go Luka, KD, Ja, Trey, Tatum. So Luka, KD, Ja, Trae Young, Tatum.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
So that's what I would
and then
do
you
there,
like Shai Gilgeous over Lillard or Porzingis?
Yeah. They like Porzingis, but yeah, I'll definitely take Shai. I'll definitely take Shai Gilgeous. I mean, I might
Okay.
even mix them in. Yeah, but I've been getting shared a lot of times at the 5, so I'll be scooping that a lot.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, that stands out to me there. Chip bringing up some other questionables.
Yeah, so yeah, I got down there yet, but Hero's probable. Expect him to play. We get down into the just sorting by ADP. Yeah, so Claxton, Adams, Kevin Love went through shoot around, Soshan and Oladipo, but it's mainly Claxton and Adams in terms of like higher up in ADP that are Q tags. I really don't know what they're gonna do. Those ones I'm just waiting on. I have no real lean on those, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
they
that's fair.
being less
What?
impactors of the slate too. I just kind of
Sure.
although
If we get no,
Claxton does kind of pop. So
yeah, I was just about to say, if we get no Claxton, who does that impact? Because we got 3 nets. We got 3 nets going inside the top 34 right now, something like that, 33, depending where Simmons is.
yeah, so if
Did I
we
miss
get
him?
Simmons is not going in, I don't believe.
34.7.
Yeah, so if
So
we get no Claxton, which I'm trying to get that off here, trying to see who technically would bump up. So if we get no Claxton, that's a bump for, well, yeah, KD, Kyrie, Ben gets a little bit of a bump. He also gets a bump. Ben Simmons gets just a tiny bit of a usage bump, but you would think his rebounding and everything would go up. I'm just trying to look at that here.
Yep.
Small bit for his rebounding as well. But yeah, it's being Claxton's not too big of a high usage player. It's hard to see where it goes. It's just kind of like a bump for everyone.
Okay. That Minnesota and Blazers game with the highest total on the slate and only a 4 spread. And for my money, outside of, I guess, like Russell, Edwards, and Gobert are all going in like those middling rounds, and Lillard and Anthony Simons would be the only ones going for the Blazers right now. Josh Hart going too.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So Nurkic, some fun trends I've been picking up with on T-Box is drafting Nurkic in the 3rd all the time.
Okay.
All the Nurk, he loves a lot of that game. Rightfully so, just going off Vegas totals. But yeah, so that's interesting. But sorry, give me 1 second so I can. Yeah, I like a lot of that game. Kyle Anderson, someone mentioned, is interesting. Definitely an interesting play in the 6. Don't know. Like, he's definitely viable. He's not popping too much in terms of just this one projection set I have, but he's definitely viable. But yeah, I like a lot of that game. And it just seems like Dame's the only really expensive piece, and you can kind of get these guys in the middling rounds, and then especially you have your pick between Grant and Simmons in the later round quite a bit.
Okay.
Like quite a bit.
Simmons.
Yeah, the one thing I think I'm looking at,
who's a mid-tier guy for you who's popping right now? My eyes always go to Keldon Johnson for whatever reason.
A mid-tier guy that is popping for me. So, like, are we thinking in the middle rounds or like in the 20s?
Yeah, in the 20s. In the 20s.
The 20s. So Russell's the highest 20 guy technically popping. D'Angelo Russell, Jaren Jackson.
Back to that game environment.
Yep, Jaren Jackson, Miles Turner, load him up again.
Yeah,
Capella,
that's a evergreen.
Capella.
Capella's interesting. Does Capella's usage change without DeJounte or without Bogdan?
Well, there's no John Collins, and as of right now, there's also no DeAndre Hunter, but I don't know if he's coming. I don't know how long Hunter's out for.
Yeah,
he is. Is he back? Is DeAndre Hunter back? I think DeAndre Hunter might be back.
Okay.
So that's interesting, but still, yeah, no John Collins. Capella is fun.
Okay.
Yeah, DeAndre Hunter is back. That's fun.
Ja hasn't played since Friday, but the team hasn't played since Friday, and he was out with a thigh or something
No,
like
he
that.
played it. So he did play then, but he's had 2 days of rest.
No,
Right?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like the
Yeah.
team's been off since Friday, not that he was out Friday.
That's the deal. Yeah, that's the deal with Ja. They put him on the queue for a thigh, but like, yeah, I generally don't know. I've been drafting him, so I'll give him that. But that doesn't mean anything because a lot of players I draft end up not being picked, so or not being active, even when you think they are. So yeah, I'm waiting for that like whatever time.
That's an
Like
interesting
1:30
because
out.
interesting one because you gain a lot of leverage by taking Ja where you're taking him right now in this like Hawks matchup, right? Heavy home favorite.
Tyus if he's out. So like,
Right, yeah. Brooks gets thrust up.
I mean, it
Yeah,
is
Jaren
Dylan Brooks, so
Jackson
it's hard
gets
to trust. Yeah, I like Jaren Jackson a lot already. Even with him, even with Ja in, like even with Ja in, I'm expecting it. So,
Raise it asking you like Ant-Man or Kuzma tonight. I think I know the answer to that one.
Kuzma's been balling
Yeah,
with no Beal. It's close. If I'm gonna give you the one project. I don't have I'm waiting for another projection site to load projections. This one will give you Kuzma by 2 or 2 spots with a 44.23 versus a 43.93. So 0.3 points gap. I mean, I always think Ant's ceiling without Cat, especially in the game environment. If we're just going total, four higher point total. So my biased opinion, Ant. Although I do really enjoy Kuzma a lot. Like, so I'll have quite a bit. But if you want the answer, let's just go with Ant. Let's just give the people what they want.
Yeah. 4 higher point game total, team total only 2 points higher. So just, I mean, I'm not sure it fucking matters, but just something.
The only thing that really matters is the fact
Scott.
that Cleveland, San Antonio is 218.5, at least what I have. So it's just
Cleveland, San Antonio is 218.5. That's bad. That is bad.
There was, I mean, and the like the second lowest total game is the latest game to tip off at 9:40 between Boston at the Clippers. And then the second highest total, or the highest total game is the second game, the latest game to tip off at 9:10, 7:10 your time. Or maybe it's 6:10 your time. I don't even know. You 3 hours, 2 hours? I can't figure it out. I think you're 2. Yeah, and that's Minnesota at Portland. So yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot of day just looking at recent trend stats. I'm having a good time, just like just looking at cleaning the glass, dunks and threes, just going nuts. Just drafting a bunch of teams, just drafting away, ready to get destroyed. Watch RT99 come in at 3:00 with his loaded ranks or set and just destroy.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. I did that on Friday. I did that on Thursday last week, something like that. Actually, no, Thursday I drafted. And that's when I had a good sweat. Thursday or Wednesday, something like that. That's when I did the draft. And then a couple of the other days, I just did auto ranks, loaded, and whatever. And I ended up with 61% Jalen Brunson, who I said I would never draft again after I found out he was left-handed and wore the sleeve on the wrong arm and was hurt. And I ended up with 61% Jalen Brunson just based off of ETR ceiling projections. So, yeah, I think you need a little human element in these draft rooms sometimes just to.
It also, like, I feel like sometimes these guys will wait until like the last. They will legitimately wait until the last minute updated news, and then they'll get So I think Shea and Trey,
or we could mix in Ja, but
you could
I think
when you
get gifted Shea and Trey, I think you just take it.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Ja would be the one to take in terms of projection, but I mean, yeah, that's fine with me here. I mean, yeah, you're gonna just continue to draft these over and get your combos and whatnot, and he takes. So Chip gets a nice Ja Morant. Yep, fun for you, Chip. I hope he's ruled out now. Just kidding. I have so much. I hope he's not. But yeah, no, it's very interesting, the different tactics. Like RT, I feel like you see T-Box is done drafting by mid-morning. He's done. Has done all of his drafts. He's entered for all of them and done them. And then RT99 and El Padrino. I don't know if you guys have seen that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, seen
They'll
that guy.
come in and just they'll come in and use whatever ranks and take their guys like that one
Closing
draft.
line.
Like that one time I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're gonna take Kevin Durant at the 101 and then come back and take Kyrie Irving and then take like Terry Rozier. Dude wins it with that lineup. I'm like, what are we doing? Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I should have just followed suit. So yeah, interesting trends to pick up on. Like, I feel like they do come in with one of like the most up-to-date ranking set. They have all of the news. They know exactly it is very important. These projections will change when you get starting lineups. They will enter input. So they wait until like the last minute. They get them uploaded, and all of a sudden they'll just fire away at drafts. And they're doing it as they do it too. But they also don't care about Q tags because news opens up, and then you also get
play the best plays, man.
You also get unique players like earlier in drafts that weren't being drafted with different combos if you just take Q tags. So
I think that's the biggest.
Jonathan Goodwin, a guy that was no one, absolutely nothing on the slate. I forget who was ruled out. Maybe he was something on the slate, but then also like all the Nets get ruled out. So then it's like a Jonathan Goodwin, Daron Sharp, and Edmund Sumner slate. You know what I mean? Like it's like with 7 games. 7 games.
What's up, baby Stevie? Yeah, the Kyler in the first there. I mean, you could justify it just in terms of like Kyler over the field and build that way. And I think it's something you want to mix in, but quarterback in the first in these 2 gamers is getting ugly right now.
Can you tell me the best plays there, GA? You just want to tell me them before I head into the draft?
Tried to.
Just tell me the optimal draft before I go in.
I don't see any way we don't just take Bam and Garland here, and then we'll get weird later. This one, the people are just giving us reasons to tether to ADP here.
Yep.
Although you could have twisted my arm for this one for sure, because I do think I like these 2, but I haven't done enough research yet on the slate. But I do think I like those 2.
Yeah, you can.
Far.
Definitely can mix
Sitting
those
first row behind courtside tonight for the Blazers game. Think I need some Dame. That's awesome, dude. That's sweet. Honest to God, like in sports, I think courtside might be one of like the best experiences, period. Like there's something about courtside that's just like so different. I don't know. Like the whole, I don't know. It's crazy. Courtside, just seeing how big the dudes are, how fast they move.
Yeah, like seeing the different how they play on the court versus a broadcast angle. And it's like, oh, why didn't you do that? Why did you make that pass? It's like, well, if you just literally saw a different angle, you would see he saw him. Why? You know, it's just hilarious. I watched the closest I was with like a lower bowl, like wasn't that close, but still, the dudes are massive.
Yeah,
massive.
Exactly.
Like I saw, who was it? It was way back when. Like my latest T-Wolves game was like 2012 when we were.
Oh wow!
More,
yeah,
I had like K-Love days. The K-Love days. I forget. Oh my gosh! I need to.
I guess that means baby Stevie's Pacific Northwest guy. He's in Portland thereabouts. Where's that game? That game's in Portland tonight, right? Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, sweet.
Roy Hibbert. I saw Roy Hibbert. Yeah. That man was massive. I was trying to figure out his name. Oh my goodness. Yeah, for the Pacers. Man, that dude was mad. And he also played. Didn't he play for the Lake Show too?
All right, give me some names here, Newbie. Oh. Do we like Kawhi? Do we like Miles Turner? I like Miles Turner every night.
We could do Turner and Clint. That's fun. Dinwiddie's also fun. As a bring back. He also went ham. Dude, Dinwiddie just broke my heart. Luka's back, so he's not going to have the same, nothing. Right. Let's do Clint. So, dude, Dinwiddie puts up.
And you're fine with having Clint and Trey? That's totally fine.
Yeah. That, to be honest, without DeJounte, it could result in literally just more lobs for him. Just straight up for that. And that's that's correlation. That's the small correlation you get in NBA.
There you go.
What was I just talking about? Oh, the Dinwiddie.
Roy Hibbert.
No, Dinwiddie puts up 20 points in the first quarter.
Wow.
And then he comes back and he has by like midway through the third, he has literally 47 points. The Bulls are blowing the brakes off of him. He doesn't see his final rotation in the third, his entire rotation in like the fourth. And and that's my highest exposed player on the slate. 48% just breaks my heart. Just breaks it. Oh
that's
man.
gross. Let's see this here. Tatum, Kyrie, Jimmy buckets. D'Angelo Russell in the 4th round feels like a nice pick tonight. Same with Norchik. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel, they do feel like some, like, I mean, yeah, you have, if I'm just gonna go, let me get dunks and threes, dunk through threes, pace. You're sitting at the 3rd highest pace. I guess Portland's down. Oh wow, Portland plays at the 28th highest pace, but still. But then you get in.
That's surprising.
It's pace up spot for then Portland.
Yep.
But then you have Boston and where the clips show? Boston and the Clippers, who are bottom 17 and 21 in pace. In defensive rating, they are top 10 each. So that game's just going to be a slog. Then you listen to this. Offensive rating, Boston 1. This is offensive adjusted rating.
Okay.
1 Boston, 30th Clippers.
Wow.
So granted, they've had a lot of no Kawhi and Paul George, but still,
That's true. They'll have Kawhi and Paul George tonight, which does make a big difference.
Kawhi's interesting because his minutes restriction limits now getting up to 30 minutes a game. Like, if he eases his way into 32, if he eases his way into 32 minutes, like,
yeah, Kawhi
6 on Kawhi seems pretty nice.
Yeah, 6 round Kawhi at 30 minutes feels really nice. Especially when you know how like there's just certain games in the NBA that are like, maybe they're not necessarily. I imagine that one's ESPN nationally televised tonight as the late game, but I don't know.
I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume it is. But like, there's just certain games that guys get up for in the season, and when like the best team in the East like comes to LA, and you're like Kawhi and Paul George are both like, yeah, we're going to be active, we're going to play, and they're going to play different on a night like that, especially on the defensive end of the court. I don't know. Like, I can talk myself a little bit more into narrative in NBA than almost any other sport, just because like there's so many like nights off that aren't actually nights off, but guys are like, hey, we're gonna play 28 minutes, and
you can easily see he's popping at what the minutes they gave him. If you give him 2 extra, he's a smash. It literally 2 extra minutes is a big deal for a player of that caliber. Like, if it's a 0.75 minute player, it literally does not matter. But when you take Kawhi Leonard, who, just so I can sound super duper smart, and I can run the query here, just this year, he is a so like this year hasn't been great, 0.98 minute per minute player. But if I take the last 2 seasons and run that, he's going to be out, so it's probably not going to matter again. But we know the type of minute player he is. Yeah, it's going to be way down there again, 0.98, because he didn't play last season. If we go back to the seasons previous with Kawhi Leonard, he's a superstar. So you give him those minutes, and he's slowly getting back there. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not so good on the defensive end too, that like the stock numbers always play on a site like this, right?
100%. Yeah. Let me see what he's
doing. Carlos, yes, UD will pay out this week. I do not definitively know when it will happen. Give it a little time. But as soon as actually we didn't talk much about the best ball stuff, but as soon as the best ball stuff closes after tonight and teams start advancing, you progressively get paid out. It's kind of hard to follow, and it's kind of like a hard structure because you'll get paid out, and then you'll move to the next round, and it'll say you're winning X amount, but you're not actually winning X amount because you've already been paid out a portion of it. So like when you're going forward in these contests, if you happen to make 2-3 rounds of playoffs there, Don't get like super excited about the number that you see in the winnings tab because you've already been paid out at least a portion of it. So it's kind of finicky and kind of odd to follow, but we'll talk through it some more as the best ball playoffs go there. To be honest, I haven't checked anything best ball related. Are we taking Kevin Durant here at the second pick or no?
Yeah, let's do it. One thing about Kawhi too is he's just been like he's just not been great shooting the ball. Very like he's been getting there with his extra stats. So like he's getting there not even with steals and blocks, he has a couple, but he's getting there with his rebounds, his assists. He hasn't been shooting the ball well at all. Like points per expected attempt is not great. His true shooting is his worst of his career. Absolutely terrible, bottom percentile, 47% true shooting. So if you just take also what he's been doing and just expect him maybe to shoot a little bit better, like those are things you can just tell yourself a story in these. Like, yes, these are the projections they have, but like if he also just shoots the ball a little bit better, does what he's doing at a per minute basis, he's even more of a smash. So
right. Yeah, you're talking me into some 6th round Kawhi for sure. I really like that, right?
I mean,
yeah, this is
it's not it definitely
Chip
it's not the worst
articulating.
play.
They pay you a min cash amount right away so that you take that money away from what is set in the winnings. That's the perfect way to articulate it.
Yep.
So like if you advance a team, you get paid out the min cash for that round, and then after that, if you advance to the further round, then you get another little payout, and then blah blah.
It's
blah,
whatever
right?
your winnings are the next round minus your winnings for your advancement. Just
that. And
that's what Chip said. Yeah.
Brett Boy's hitting the nail on the head. They pay you out your winnings instantly back so you can get it and play again. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I think they could really benefit by having progressive knockout tournaments where like every couple weeks they do that over the course of the season. I think it'd be a really cool format that Mark and I experimented with on our own site when we built it. That like every 4 weeks,
Build a site?
You basically lop every 4 weeks, you lop like a portion of the player pool off from the overall, and you get paid out a little bit progressively for every time you stay in the pool. So then that money gets recirculated within the ecosystem of the site, opposed to just locking up all the capital forever. Yeah. Yeah, Brett Boy, I thought progressive knockout would be awesome too. Yep. Too bad I didn't know you guys back then. You could play it on my site now. You like PG, you like Halliburton, you like Ant, like Butler.
Let's do Hallie.
Hallie? Yeah.
Because we could set up a Clipper play in the background.
Yeah, you're never gonna get me to say no to second round Hallie. I mean, there's just something about the way he distributes the basketball and how involved he is, and like, I mean, we know that stretch that he went through without the turnovers there. He just seems like such a good facilitator of a team.
Yeah, I mean, he's
basketball. We got buckets. We got Kuzma who's smoking hot.
Like you want to talk
Bam.
about? You talked about as a 6. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's do Kuzma.
Kuzma over buckets. That's our stand.
I like him. I like it.
Okay.
I think it's really you're just getting not really different. You're just getting combinations. But like you said, his assist percentage is it literally tippy top percentile, like he 100 percentile in assists, 50% assist percentage.
Wow, that's incredible.
He has a expected plus minus of expected plus minus of 4.1 and expected winning of 4.1. Wow. He's unreal.
Yeah, he is. That's great. And then you factor in that he plays on a team with pace, with some good shooters, with some decent bigs. Like it all just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean he's like he has a 28.9% usage percentage, 93rd percentile. Now, with that, he has a 50% assist percentage, 100th percentile. His assist to usage percentage is 1.7, and that is the assist rate. The assist rate compared to usage. How often did a player get an assist given how much they had the ball? So like Trae Young is down there quite a bit. You know what I mean? Like he has the ball a lot.
Right, because he's got the ball a ton.
Hallie's in the 100th percentile for that at
Wow.
1.72. His
you get him the ball, he finds someone who's open.
Yeah, either that, and he's also putting up points. Like his points per shot attempt, so total points scored per 100 shot attempts. His field goal attempts or trips to the line, including when he was fouled in the bonus, 124.6 per game, 88th percentile. Like he's just
that's wild.
What are you doing, Sacramento?
I'd guess that's what are you doing, Sacramento? That makes a lot of sense to me that Joker would be up in a stat like that too, where like he's just such a good passer for a big that he rarely possesses. He possesses the ball significantly less than like a handling guard, and then he's
his entire career.
Yep.
Is that copy? I'm sending that to you just so you can see that. That's absolutely hilarious.
That hoops guy just smashed it.
I mean, it's just seeing that. Yeah, like if you just, I mean, it makes sense. Like when you name him, like he is 100th for, he is a third, like first, and this goes by position. Like when I was saying it wasn't by NBA, it was purpose.
Who do you like
Nurkic.
here?
Scoop up Nurkic. I think that's fine. I think there's a fun play here. Depending what Chip does, but yeah. So this that went by per position, by the way. Yeah, this is per position, and this is Jokic. So, yeah, that's Hallie. Basically, what you just showed.
It's 100 percentile in assist percentage for a big for like ever the last 5 years.
Yep.
We're on the clock here. We got
D'Angelo. Let's go. Thank you, Chip. Take D'Angelo.
Okay. Yeah, nice little mini stack there from the.
I just sent you Hallie, by the way. So like compared to what you just looked like at Jokic, like that's
let's see here.
his season that we show now. Yeah, so he's getting there. His season's going to start.
Basically, since Hallie went to Indiana, look at this. 98 percentile in assists, 100 percentile in assists.
Yeah, you take him away from De'Aaron Fox, and his usage goes up. So there's no one there for Indiana.
Great point. Yeah, great point.
Yeah, shout out baseball. In cooperation with all of these, with sites, we're in the process. He's helping me out of building a little modelish type thing to have for dailies and Underdog. It's specifically incorporated to Underdog and all that, and then we're gonna start bringing that into then MLB hopefully. So
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, just bringing in Brace stats so I can have like my own little model type thing. Work that out.
Wow, Brett Boy just got jaw at the 2.4. People are really scared. That's interesting.
They really are. Yeah.
I will say that after having 2 days of rest and then flying west and getting a Q tag, it is a little bit alarming. I will say that not all Q tags are created equal, and having 2 days off. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he went to Detroit. Yeah. Okay. Oh wait, no. Yeah, where are they playing now?
Maybe I got that wrong. Maybe they're at home tonight, actually. Maybe I'm wrong.
They're at home against Atlanta.
Oh, never mind. I had that backwards.
You're good. You're good. I was like, they did just play Detroit, but
that's not a big flight. That's not a big. Yeah, that's not a. I was just thinking that like 2 days off and then getting a Q tag on the Monday is kind of like a slightly more alarming situation.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it really. Like again, I'm just from just trying to read the tea leaves. I feel like that's what you kind of got to do when it gets these. But
Casey Beasley took Kawhi. I was really hoping for a 6th round Kawhi on this team. You got a name for me, Numi? If Miles Turner falls to us, this guy's name is Miles Life. There's no way he lets Miles Turner's fall. There's no way. His name, it literally says it in the name.
What if we do Lowry?
Sure. I'm not sure I love it with Hero and everybody back. I'm taking Miles Turner. Miles Turner fell to us. We're taking Miles Turner. Miles with Hallie. Let's go. Hallie's just going to be feeding them down low all day, and then bang, big shooting night. Yeah, raise it. You know what? I'll jump in the Chell streets again soon. I'll do that. I have a lot of fun talking Chell. Like Chell for me is like football. Like baseball is probably my favorite sport. Hockey's my favorite sport to play. Football for me is just like a very like analytical process. It's a very like, this is a game I'm trying to be good at and like thinking through. And then like Chell and hoops for me are just like fun. And I like Chell more than I like hoops. So there's that. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Numi ran away from me again. Guy just keeps disappearing on me. So I think that means it's time to hit the wrap it up box. Good luck tonight to anybody who is still in the Monday night, Sunday night football contest. Good luck to you there. Good luck if you're playing in the hoops streets. Keep eating a little bit of that jaw Q tag if you can get them in the second round there. That sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, even if you do just get a swap to like Jones or something, I do think that's like a really nice piece of leverage. That has me excited about jumping in the hoop streets here. Like when I see stuff like that, like that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to get involved.
Yep.
Do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, that notification bell, join the Deposit Kingdom Discord if you are not already there. Link in the bio. If you are not playing on Underdog, what are you doing with your time? Use promo code BADGE, get you up to $100 sign up bonus there. Actually, I'll share a little video. I got the boys on the hockey team to do some registering the other night. I was like, yeah, man, you guys just put in $5 for NFL. It's way better than betting sides. You could just win. You could win 25K. And they're like, oh shit, where do I sign up? I was like, hell, promo code BADGE, boys. Here we go. Classic stuff.
Let's do it.
Numi, anything to add?
Nah. Hope everyone has a good night.
Yeah, good luck to all involved. Hopefully Nez is back sometime this week. He was visiting the family, and now he is in Florida at Disney World. So Summer and Nez continues, Summer and Nez.
He needs to get his Mickey Mouse exposure up. So he exactly. not enough Goofy in the life. So
he seems like a Donald Duck guy to me, eh?
Oh yeah, we're gonna his profile picture after this. If it's that whatever it is, I need it to just be him just cheesing with Donald Duck.
That'd be so
just him. Yeah.
All right. As always, appreciate y'all hanging out. Big shout outs to Paul. Had a nice lineup this weekend, 8th place. Ben had a nice lineup this weekend, 3rd place. Rydock had a nice one in the hoops. So love to see the brigade doing damage, even if it is not myself or Numi. You love to see it. Appreciate y'all hanging out. We will be back tomorrow with Mark. Same bat time, same bat channel. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace.